Alright guys, welcome back to the Gauntlet StarCraft Legacy to the Void series. Global Finals brought to you by ESL Nexus Recall and Falcon Paladin. The event is sponsored by Cetone and the Gauntlet crew. Follow them at Gauntlet SC2 on Twitter. I'm Bobby Awesome, with me is Falcon Paladin.
Heyo!
And we are almost ready to get into the next series. It will in fact actually be first Violet versus Nurtio, I believe, into Polt versus Mana after that. So we get to cast both these pretty crazy series, one right after the other. Nothing missed.
What?
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, this is pretty good actually, because I really want to see Violet versus Nurtio. So
yeah,
glad we don't get to miss that. Take that, B stream. And so, by the way, guys, there is a B stream. It is Gauntlet. Twitch.tv/Gauntlet SC2B. We have Jack Attack and Drenok casting over there, holding down the fort, doing their thing, as only they know how. And speaking of holding it down, Falcon, homie, what's up so far? What do you think? What do you think of these games? What's your opinion on these games we've seen so far?
So far in these games, basically I'm seeing that Terran is struggling a little bit versus the other two races. Zerg, as long as they're played, I want to say fairly safely, not rushing a certain tech, look very good as well. I do want to see a ZVP though in this tournament to determine the state of that matchup, but I guess so far so good.
Yeah, I'll withhold judgment on matchup, matchup, I guess level of balance until we see a little bit more games in that pool to determine and do some scientific statistics in this case. But I don't think that anybody can disagree with the fact that Zerg has some powerful builds. We saw with Violet just absolutely crush through his opponents, his Terran opponents. It's like he wasn't even there. That's amazing. Through Apocalypse, I believe it was. Or yeah, it was Apocalypse, right?
Jakshi,
that's what it was. Duh, of course. But anyway, guys, we are heading to the game number 1 of Violet versus Nurtio in this best of 3, guys. Gauntlet Legacy of the Void series finals. $1,000 on the line. To the south, we have the blue Zerg player, Team Acer's Nurtio.
and in the top right of Orbital Shipyard, we have the red Zerg player throwing down an early expansion. It is Violet.
All right, this is a ZVZ, or as Canadians say, Z versus Z, as so elegant as that is. I should say it's the rest of the world says America. But anyway, so we have Nurtio has already proven himself, in ZVZ. He did face Senin though. Oh, the admins are funny. Okay, Nurtio has proven that his ZVZ is pretty good, because we've seen Senin's ZVZ. It's really, really good. He only fell to Bly in I believe it was the EU qualifier. He ended up falling to Bly in the round of 4, I believe. And so he proved very well. And he went 2-1 with Nurtio. So it was apparently a pretty close series, at least competitive to a degree. And Nurtio managed to make it past Senin and finds himself facing against the fan favorite Violet. Who does not like Violet? We have a lot of Lings on the way here for Nurtio, though, and we've seen this from him actually a few times, wanting to apply some pressure, early Ling pressure, of nicely avoiding any overlords meandering their way across the map, possibly catching Violet by surprise.
Yeah, quick Baneling Nest here from Nurtio as well, getting speed at the same time. Definitely going to be a one-base aggression play on the way for Violet. We'll see how Violet can handle this. A Spinecrawler would be nice, some Lings. And this pretty much good micro is how you're going to survive this, because Nurtio's Baneling, Speedling all-ins can be very, very dangerous indeed, showing no sign of taking another hatchery whatsoever, and we'll see how this works out.
Oh, nice. He really is diligent in hiding his Lings as he morphs in a host of Banelings, about 6 on the way. He still has Lings back at home too, does Nurtio, just to take care of any scouting Lings or roguelings that Violet sends his way. Baneling that's just now going down for Violet as he is looking to be defensive, moving his queens. He knows something is up, consolidating his queens towards the main base between his spawning pool and hatchery. Lings now stream across the map for Nurtio as he looks to put on the hurt on Violet right now.
Holy smokes, is there anything here? There are a couple of queens in pretty good position, a few Lings as well, but this is a lot of Speedlings, a lot of Banelings rolling on in. The drones mineral walk their way through the queens to save their
very nice.
Nicely done, actually. The Queens
really
are
good.
managing to survive some good positioning there as well. The drones coming in to fight at the same time, but both the Queens end up dead. Another Baneling hit there. More Banelings come rolling on in, crushing 18 drones, and that's it.
GG.
A GG from Violet. Nurtio takes Violet by surprise.
Well, Nurtio ain't got no time for StarCraft. He's just gonna do this to Zergs, and I mean, we've seen it before. It's a powerful build. It's a one-base play. I actually, on Fenner's stream, I've seen him do it a variety of times. Energy deals, as he always says, but the guy is insane. So yeah, Nurtio pretty much did the same thing. Well-executed play versus the opening that Violet chose to do. But I think, regardless of whatever Violet did, the build that writing for Polt. Yes, to a Twitch chat, we have Polt and who is
Mana.
Mana, that's right. Polt and Mana coming up right after the series, because we had to make sure it was on our stream, and so yes, we're 100% getting that after this series. You guys will. One of our admins was very adamant about getting that series, so he's Element, or one of our ESL, the main ESL admin here. Well, that's great. But yes, so definitely happening. So don't you worry, Polt fans. But also, a lot of Polt fans are crossover Violet fans too. So a little bit sad to see Violet lose that game number 1 in this best of 3 series. So very well played by Nurtio, taking the early lead here. And you know what? That's my style of build. In ZVZ, what's the point? Like, I don't need to go to a macro game because it's such a knife fight. I've said this many times. Who needs to go there when you could end it in the beginning? That's how I played all through Heart of the Swarm. That's why my win rate was like above 90%. I just played like all in all day as Zerg against Zerg, and that's an awesome build. Steal that build, folks, in your ZVZ exploits, as there seems to be quite a lot of Zerg on the ladder.
Indeed, and in the Twist Cat for sure. Lots of Zergs out there defending their race against other Protoss and Terrans who are super upset with them right now. It's kind of fun to see, actually.
Yeah. Well, it's good. That's cool. It's like everybody has a race they play. You know what? Yeah, be proud of that race you play. Have some pride. Don't rage when your race loses though, but have just respect that your race is better than the other ones. That's how it is in StarCraft. You always have that pride, and it's the difference for me. I started as Protoss, switched to Zerg. I personally love Protoss more, yet I love playing Zerg more. It's a weird conundrum. But guys, we're heading to game number 2 right away for Violet versus Nurtio, as the game is now loading up for Dusk Towers in this ZVZ. This is the Gauntlet Legacy of the Void series global finals. $1,000 on the line. Top 4 in the money. First place takes home $650. Second, $200. Third and fourth takes $75 each. And
so many tacos.
So many tacos. Like, I don't even know what would happen. Like, I wonder how many tacos one can eat in a day. That should be a challenge I should do online someday. We're in the game, guys. To the north, we have the blue Zerg player taking a very quick game number 1. It is Nurtio.
And in the bottom, licking his wounds, it is the pink Zerg player with the very shiny stars around the hatchery, Violet. Look how shiny those are.
Oh, super. Bit oversaturated, one might say.
Might be. Anyway, Extractor Trick was used there by Violet to get the worker count on up. It is 17 out of 22 for both of these players. Workers and more workers on the way. And looks like Nurtio. Nurtio going for the early hatcher this time, not going for the one base all in. And that's exactly what Violet is doing as well. Did not get scared away by that early pressure in game number 1 and going for the hatch first. Trusting in their instincts and their abilities to handle any one base all-ins that come anytime soon. And on this map, the rush distance seems a little bit longer, perhaps. I don't know if it is or not, but it does kind of seem that way.
Yeah, I mean, Nurtio put a little bit of the fear into the heart of Violet, possibly capitalizing on whatever advantage he could gain from that, from taking a fast base himself. No early aggression for him. Both players have very similar openings, but as we see a gas going down a little bit faster here for Nurtio. Both players droning up. Gas just does go down for Violet. Slight deviation, but nothing critical. I like the choice, though, in the placement of Nurtio's natural expansion as the forward expansion rather than the safer back expansion. It allows for faster reinforcements should you decide to be aggressive towards the later stages of the game. Small advantages, especially in a mirror matchup, do pay off. There is obviously disadvantages to that, being that it's more vulnerable to any sort of aggression that Violet may or may not choose to implement upon Nurchio's base. But I like it. I like the choice of Nurchio's base for as an aggressive Zerg myself. I think it's the best play.
Yeah, absolutely. It's safe. It's not crazy. It doesn't put you behind in the macro either. But here comes the Baneling Nest from Violet, coming up a little bit earlier than one from Nurchio, if there is one at all here. Speed being researched for our blue Zerg player. Both players getting a couple queens at the same time. But just kind of settling down. It's not as crazy in the early game as that game number 1 was. Both players just taking a deep breath from the insanity of that Ling Baneling all in, just getting their worker count up, increasing up towards the 20-30 count there. Bit of a Ling micro attack here, and yep, one from each color survives. The survivor for Nurchio chasing Violet away.
Yeah, Nurchio getting just a little bit of the advantage there with a couple bars more health on his Ling. Nurchio here is dropping a Roach Warren and he has his Ling speed just over halfway done himself. 6 Lings on the way. Nurchio looks to be again powering up for some sort of aggressive build here by the looks of it, with some roaches, possibly Roach Speedling attack, but time will tell. Speed is just now about a third of the way done for Violet, and Baneling's being morphed too. So nice, safe, very defensive play by Violet. You can see a contrast in styles where it looks like Nurchio is planning on being quite aggressive as he's sending some Lings across the map now to poke and see what Violet has and is up to.
It's also making a Roach Warren just finished there. Roach is on the way. Roach Ravager pretty good, and ZVZ as well. And holding the ramp there with a couple queens, that's enough to hold against a large number of Zerglings, especially if transfuses are available. And there's that third hatch coming up for Nurchio. Nurchio trying to prevent Violet from taking his third hatch, and thereby putting him ahead in the macro game towards the mid here.
See, this is what I like about taking that forward expansion that Nurchio did. See, he could take his third base super safe, but see these Lings at the front that Nurchio has, keeping an eye on a potential third base for Violet. He knows the timing that Violet is taking his third base, where it's a lot harder for Violet to check the timing of Nurchio's third base. And this tells a lot about what build you're choosing to do and what units you may plan on getting in the end. And see, now it's fairly obvious to Nurchio that Violet is planning on taking his third base right now. But this is a huge tell for Nurchio, and I think as far as the knowledge wars go, as a huge advantage.
And the Lings get in there for a pretty darn good scout as well. Overlord gets taken down. A missile attack being upgraded for Nurchio, making sure that these roaches are a little bit stronger than Violet's. Violet also has roaches in production here, but a big group of Speedlings and a couple Banelings moving across the map. Violet going to try to get on up, and good positioning here from the roaches and the queens as well, blocking that ramp. The Lings cannot get through. Excellent positioning, honestly, from Nurchio there, and backing on out is Violet.
Yeah, Violet's picking off some of Nurchio's overlords too. Why not? With a couple of queens, possibly even supply block Nurchio, although I don't think that'll be the case. A whole whack of Banelings being morphed in for Violet at the front of the natural base of Nurchio. This is definitely an all-in. He's not taking no third base here. As Violet has, he's going to lay on the aggression with some roaches, Lings, and Banelings. That is quite a healthy number of roaches here, though, for Nurchio himself, which are pretty decent against Banelings. We'll see how he'll hold off.
Yep, sees the Banelings, backs on out immediately. Does not even wait for +1 at all. Good Baneling hits there, crushing down the Spine Crawler, getting some hits on the roaches at the same time. Transfuse is available, though. Now a roach on a roach battle here. The Lings trying to do what DPS they can as well. That's enough to push back Nurchio. The roach count way too high there. Yeah,
the defender's advantage too with the quick reinforcements really also helped pay off for Nurchio. The Banelings actually got almost as good a hit as they could have hoped against that amount of roaches. The Nurchio did not spread his roaches very effectively, and a lot of them were clumped up. The Banelings hit those clumps and did maximum damage as far as they could. But the attack continues on. Some Ravagers here to supplement the attack. For Violet, trying to make something happen. These Lings, though, evaporate very quickly versus these roaches, and these Ravagers are going to get pushed back to the superior number of roaches for Nurchio.
Yep, +1 on the roaches for Nurchio, +1 as well for Violet, but again, just the sheer numbers there. No, Violet doesn't have +1. Actually, I missed that. That helped a lot in that battle for Nurchio then, able to get extra damage in on there, and now finally taking a third base. Here is Violet, but it might be a little bit too late.
Yeah, both players droning up behind this, getting extra queens. Now Nurchio starting to tech up himself. Both players actually in trying to just get their economy back up and running, but it's clear that Nurchio's supply, he's about 30 supply ahead right now. He's up about 10 workers Nurchio's in an absolutely excellent position. Violet tried to make something happen with that, but again, it all started with Nurchio taking that front expansion first, and able to defend much easier towards the later part of the game.
Yep, absolutely. Very smart play on his part. Production tab shows a lair on the way for both of these players. More and more roaches coming out for Violet. +1 attack now on the way. Again, a little bit late, but better late than never, considering Nurchio hasn't even started on +2. And Corrosive Bile takes down an Overlord there as well, just kind of dancing around, trying to see what he can see. These Lings might get caught out of position against these roaches. More Corrosive Bile does take out yet another Overlord. Yes, it does. Falling there. Nobody's supply blocked quite yet, but both players continuing with that Overlord of production that is so very, very important, especially in ZVZ.
Now, that is a lot of Overlords actually in that area that Nurchio can take out with the Corrosive Bile, should he choose to do so. A little bit of perhaps lack of foresight for Violet in that case, as this is getting him, forcing him to build more Overlords, and that is mineral. He needs to build more drones right now to saturate his newly built third base, as he is significantly behind economically. And at any time, Nurchio, with his creep spread and army positioning, can take a fourth base should he choose to, and it seems to that he can defend it just fine. These Lings actually get a nice little surround, picking off some of these Ravagers though, so a nice little pick off there for Violet. He has to get every little claw his way back in any way he can, and he because the time is ticking against him, as the economy is still superior for Nurchio and his army supply is skyrocketing.
Yeah, interesting to see a surround on Ravagers with Lings, because if they use Corrosive Bile to kill the Lings, a splash damage hits themselves as well. So kind of a smart play there with the Lings getting that surround. Kind of hard to pull off, but if you can, it's a pretty good move indeed. But here comes Nurchio pushing out across the map onto the creep here. Lurker Den actually started morph in for Nurchio as
Good
well.
choice.
I love that in ZVZ. Checking to make sure there's not a fourth base coming up over on that left side or on the right side, and there's not. And satisfied that he knows what's going on, Nurchio begins to push on in, waiting for reinforcements as well to show up. And this Roach versus Roach Ravager is now in earnest. Corrosive Bile being thrown down, making a couple hits there on both sides of this. Violet might actually have the larger army, but more Roaches reinforcing on in, helping to tip the scales in favor of Nurchio. But Nurchio doesn't like the terms of the engagement, has 17 Roaches in production back at home. The Lurker Den about 50% complete, and +2 missile attack, about 90% complete as well.
Yeah, I like that Violet focused down Nurchio's Ravagers to eliminate any potential splash damage, which made his own Roaches and Ravagers that much more effective. Now he's trying to attack up this ramp. Not sure I entirely agree with this, but he does have Ravagers too. Nurchio actually just recreated some Ravagers, so now the terms are equal. And he feels confident on his creep and tries to get some surround on Violet's army. This is actually a pretty big overextension by Violet as the supply plummets. GG is called, and Nurchio takes the game and the series 2-0. I guess that's 2-0. 2-0,
Yes.
and wow, geez, quick 2-0 there.
Yeah, very surprising. And indeed, I thought for sure Violet would have a better showing than that. But in the end, Nurchio just very, very strong, both with the 1-base all-ins and with the solid 3-base Roach Ravager composition, getting the upgrades, getting the economy up and running, slowing down Violet, and taking the win there in game number 2.
No, I think for anybody out there who wants to learn, how, like, ZVZ is one of the most frustrating mirror matchups, and sometimes you just struggle. You don't know how to do it. Like I think that's one of the best replays or VODs to study of how Nurchio opened in both those games. You have two very different builds that you could now copy and start stealing Nerd's ladder points with it, and like do it. I highly recommend checking out those two games that Nurchio did. Nurchio it was just perfect play, excellent builds, excellent execution of said builds, and Violet was really trying to adapt to them, but always falling short to it. So excellent play by Nurchio. Guys, this is the Gauntlet SC2 Global Finals. I'm Bobby Awesome. With me is Falcon Paladin. $1,000 on the line in this event, and we are in the round of 8. Right now, guys, that was a pretty quick series. We're going to be heading to Polt versus Mana. Yes, finally we got this other series done and over with, Twist Cat, and we're heading into this series pretty shortly by the looks of it. On a level of 1 to 10, let's just stay original here. How excited are you for this next series, Falcon?
Absolutely a 10. Polt versus Mana. Polt,
Yeah.
the Terran hope right now for Legacy of the Void players. It really needs to make a good showing here, or I think Twist Cat might revolt.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we saw really strong games from Mana already in this event, a lot stronger than we've seen from him recently in Legacy of the Void, as far as games I've seen anyway. But Polt, I'm really interested to see what form he is in right now. I've heard he's had some pretty crazy games recently. I want to see it firsthand right here, right now, in this event.
Are we getting set up here? Are we doing vetoes? How are we looking here, guys?
Looks like they are doing vetoes right now, so we may go to a short break, I think, or vetoes are almost done. Actually, we're going to go to a quick break, says our admin. Be back in 5.